The Lagos sun felt like a blessing on the day Kemi and Tunde met. It started at a high-end art gallery in Victoria Island. He was a silent, brooding architect with an eye for structural symmetry, and she was a vibrant interior designer who lived for color. Their connection was instantaneous, a soul recognition that felt deeper than mere attraction. They shared the same rhythmic laugh, a specific, rare gap between their front teeth. "It's like I've known you in another life," Tunde would whisper. Because they were both traditional, they decided to build their relationship on a foundation of friendship. Tunde, ever the pragmatist, and Kemi, being health conscious, made a pact before they swore their lives to one another. They would do a full life audit. They went to a private clinic in Lekki, given vials of blood and cheek swabs for DNA tests. They left hand in hand, laughing about whether they'd find out they were distant cousins. 10 days later, the results arrived. Tunde opened his first. He clicked the relative finder tab. His heart stopped. At the very top of the list, 50% DNA match. Relationship, sibling. At that exact moment, his phone vibrated. It was Kemi. "Tunde," she choked out. "The test? It says we share a father." The silence in the park was broken not by a goodbye, but by a sudden, cold clarity. Tunde looked at the DNA results again, then at Kemi. The shared features, the eyes, the laughter, the gap in their teeth weren't just a cosmic coincidence. They were evidence of a crime of silence. "We aren't just going to walk away, Kemi," Tunde said, his voice hardening from grief into a sharp, focused anger. "We owe it to ourselves to look the truth in the face." They didn't go their separate ways. Instead, they drove together to the sprawling estate of Tunde's father, Chief Idimi, a man revered for his impeccable moral standing in the community. They found him in his study, surrounded by mahogany and certificates of honor. When Tunde laid the 2 DNA profiles on the desk, the color drained from the chief's face. The silence that followed was the sound of a 30-year-old lie collapsing. Her mother was a secretary in Kenya, the chief finally whispered, unable to meet Kemi's eyes. I thought money had settled it. I didn't think the world was this small. Small enough that your children almost committed an abomination because you were too proud to be honest," Kemi said, her voice trembling but clear. The confrontation didn't fix their hearts, but it stripped away the shame that wasn't theirs to carry. They forced the chief to acknowledge Kemi publicly, not as a mistake, but as a daughter. In this ending, Tunde and Kemi didn't lose a partner, only to gain nothing. They stood together at the chief's gate one last time. The romantic love was gone, replaced by something sturdier and more ancient. "I can't be your husband," Tunde said, reaching out to squeeze her hand a sibling squeeze this time. "And I can't be your wife," Kemi replied, a sad but resilient smile touching her lips. "But I've spent my whole life wondering where I came from. At least now, I have a brother to help me figure out where I'm going." They left the estate in separate cars, but for the first time in their lives, neither of them was driving alone.